Good afternoon. My name is Niko House, host of the political radio show Mikasa is Sukasa, and I urge you all to join our one follow, $1 campaign where we show the mainstream media that we will not be taking their nonsense anymore. We are almost to our goal of $1,000 a month. Please join our campaign and donate to your favorite independent journalist today. One follow, $1. Also, click the notification buttons below, which looks shaped like a little bell. Click that button, you'll get regular updates from me every time I upload a video. Some interesting news has come out. Not surprisingly enough to me, but to many who may have not been following the election timeline as closely as I have and many others have, this may come as a surprise to you. So, as many of you know, Seymour Hersh has had a recording leaked to WikiLeaks that was obviously then tweeted out. The YouTube link was then tweeted out by WikiLeaks. Now, in this recording, there is a lot of interesting information. One of the things that has been focused on very, very clearly, I think, is the Seth Rich situation and what Seymour Hersh said about Seth Rich. And I will get to that in 1 second, but I think that there's also something that should be discussed that wasn't really touched on by that many people. Seymour Hersh, for those of you who do not know, first of all, just a couple of credentials for you. He is a Pulitzer Prize winning investigative journalist. He used to work for the New York Times. He was the one who uncovered the Obama administration, the Clinton State Department of State administration, essentially taking weapons from Libya and then transferring them to Syria, where the whole Syrian chemical attack situation happened. And he was responsible and not only found, but accurately so, found him, and he portrayed the Obama administration as what it really was and what it was really up to in Libya and in Syria. Obviously, like I said, he's so good at his job that he's won a Pulitzer Prize. Seymour Hersh, in this recording where he was speaking very candidly, there's a lot of vulgarity involved, but he said that Brennan, former head of the CIA, was actually behind the Russia propaganda, specifically, actually. Not like it was. I'm sure it was a concerted effort by many different parties, but what he said is that it was a disinformation campaign. It was purposely done, and they were holding backroom briefings with the press, giving them this disinformation. He said the reason why it was ate up so much is that he actually cited his experience at the New York Times. He said the people at the New York Times are actually pretty smart. They're not necessarily, they don't mean to create so much damage of really credibility of all journalists who are calling this nonsense what it is, which is nonsense. What he said was that the New York Times has a bad habit of falling for the appeal of authority. Now, for those of you who don't study logic or law, this is actually one of the most commonly practiced logical fallacies. They believe because someone has a title that they are actually a reliable source, and that is not necessarily the case, especially in the situation involving Russia. Seymour Hersh said that was the issue, that New York Times does have a bad habit of listening to authority, and because someone in a suit with a nice title said, hey, 17 intelligence agencies all said that Russia did it, they actually went and repeated that story, and because of the prestige of the New York Times, it began to matriculate down through the mainstream media, and it became primary talking points. Now, many of us want to assume that the CIA and Brennan specifically did this for some nefarious reason, but actually Hersh just said that it's about keeping his job under the Trump administration. He knew that he would be on the way out. Many of the contracts that the CIA had would be out, and a lot of the money they made. He said, quote, they don't want to live off of their pension. They can't live off of their pension. So this was the result. They wanted Hillary Clinton in office because they know that she's going to use the CIA. She already has used the CIA. Otherwise, how would she be able to develop those relationships? There were a couple of other bombshells in this particular recording. Another huge bombshell was the fact that obviously Seth Rich, according to an FBI source, a verified FBI source, Seymour Hersh, said that he's actually had this source in the FBI for quite some time, and that that he's used him several times, and that there was an extensive report that Seth Rich used a Dropbox to share this information with WikiLeaks. Now, one of the quotes that I remember specifically from Seymour Hersh was that Seth Rich had said that I have friends that I've shared this to, so if something happens to me, this will not solve your problem. Essentially a message to those who may want to harm him for doing what he was doing. Now, some people did have been saying that Seymour Hersh said that he was doing this for a cash reward. I actually did not hear that in the recording, but somebody else may have, and I listened to it about 4 times and did not hear that. But that also would not be a surprise, because WikiLeaks does have a tendency to reward people who help them with information, whether or not they ask for it or not, because obviously that is something of value. So I would not be surprised if Seth Rich did get some type of financial reward for WikiLeaks, as that is a standard practice. But I think what's most important to realize is that Seth Rich was aware that someone was on his tracks, that he did use a protected Dropbox to transfer this information. Seymour Hersh is quoting an FBI source, a high-ranking FBI source, and he's creating he's citing a report from a high-ranking FBI source. In a very candid conversation. And Seymour Hersh obviously has a high rate of credibility. He has no reason to lie. He is a Pulitzer Prize winner for breaking information such as this. So obviously his contacts are very they're trustworthy, and they're reliable, and they're credible. Not, like I said, not to mention, he's not speaking about the New York Times from the perspective of myself as an independent journalist, or even a Fox News-esque type of commentator or analyst. He's actually speaking from personal experiences. He's saying these were their flaws. This is one of the reasons that I left the New York Times, is because of stories like this. And they may retract the story, but they don't tend to own up to their mistakes in a significant manner. However, that has not stopped the mainstream media from running with this Russia story. He actually even said, it is not surprising to me that Trump thinks that everything about the Russian, that he's claiming that everything about the Russian scandal, in regards to him colluding to be propagated as the president on Russia's behalf, is a lie. Seymour Hersh said it. He said he's not surprised by that because it is a lie. He said he cited the NSA. He cited Brennan from the CIA very specifically, that he was in charge of the disinformation campaign. Not that he might have been a part of it, not, he could have been. No, he said this is in the report, ladies and gentlemen. He said he knows these people, and he even cited the reasons why that it would be done. Once again, this isn't from my mouth. This is from a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, Seymour Hersh. Leave your comments and thoughts below. Please donate to the $1 campaign. Turn on your notifications for more updates. And always remember, find your balance. Peace.